In the last week, Etsy launched new guidance on how to list your product titles and a tool that might help you update those titles. Unless you're living under a rock, this has been a major update to what we've historically known as best in class for SEO for titles. And so today I'm going to cover that topic as well as the tool that was recently released that will help you update those titles, and also dive into some additional tactics you can take to research to see if this is the right decision for your shop. Before jumping into the meat of this video, I want to give you a little bit of a history lesson. So I myself have been selling on Etsy since late 2022, have primarily done print on demand, but I'm very close with other folks that also do DIY. So this video is for all types of Etsy sellers, whether you do print on demand, digital sales, or DIY, and you're making these products on your own. It's been best practice to keyword stuff your Etsy titles. How does Etsy work? Etsy is a marketplace where a lot of people can type in different types of search queries into Etsy and spit out a bunch of different products that may fit those different keywords. Well, given that there is a lot of traffic on Etsy, as sellers, we're trying to capture as much of those eyeballs and as much of that traffic as possible. And so what that has resulted in is a lot of folks cramming a lot of keywords into their headlines. An example of that would be this listing that has a mini custom watercolor pet portrait, dog portrait from photos, pet painting, tiny paintings, miniature paintings. Lots of keywords in there that replicates the same word. And the reason that this became really popular was we wanted to make sure that this product and this listing showed up for mini custom watercolor pet portrait, but also dog portrait from photos, pet painting, all these different types of keywords. So that's why it became very popular to take up as much space in your listing headline as possible in your listing title. So that way you have a better shot of capturing this traffic. Well, what Etsy has said during their most recent Seller Handbook article is that the times are changing and this is not necessary. Now, I'm hearing a lot of chatter on Facebook and on my channel and other folks' channels about people saying like, do not change your titles. This is bad guidance. And I want to kind of debunk that because people are just taking a look at the direction for the title and they're not taking a look at the rest of this article that talks about why they're making this change. So digging into this article a little bit more, I want to highlight a few things that I feel like people are missing. So Etsy is basically saying that they are updating their guidance on what makes a great listing to help you write clear, buyer-friendly titles that also help you reach relevant buyers in your search results. So why clear titles matter? They want to make Etsy a little bit easier to understand what product you are actually shipping or what product you are offering that isn't so confusing. That listing that we just saw that had 8 or 9 different keywords is still probably very clear to me. That listing that we saw for the dog portrait was still clear to me reading this, that this is a portrait of a dog that you can buy. What they want to make sure is that it doesn't become confusing for the buyer on what they might be getting with this exact purchase. I personally think this is a great step as a buyer of Etsy and as a shopper on Etsy. I myself have been a victim of taking a look at different listings, seeing the price point, thinking that I'm going to be able to get an adult size t-shirt, and really I click into it and that pricing is for a SVG file or for a baby onesie, and it ends up not being the best customer experience. It does appear that they are giving guidance to make sure the listings look as professional as possible from a titles perspective, and that they're going to be taking a look at additional data across the entire listing to rank that listing. And the reason I say that is that they have made some declarations about how their search system has changed. So they call out here that their search system has evolved to take a more holistic view of your listing, including the title, the tags, the attributes, the descriptions, first photo, and even reviews. So they're trying to take a look at the entire listing and connect all of the dots to make sure that that person is seeing the right types of product for what they're searching for. So while we're hearing a lot of people on YouTube say, do not make these changes, it's bad, it's actually having a negative impact on your listings, I think that that is not the full story. I think that if you decided to pull these keywords out of your title and not include them in your description or have them showcased well, that this listing could be used as a birthday present or as a gift for mom, which we'll go into what they're kind of describing as some changes you can make, it could be detrimental to your listing. The key here is that we want to make sure that the titles are clear to read and that the rest of your listing is baked out, not just your title. So as we come down, it gives some additional guidance on what makes a great listing title. They want you to clearly state the item for sale. Duh, we are all doing that. Include the most important traits up front, like the color, the material, and the size. There's some chatter, there's some debate on why would you include a size if you offer small through extra large? Of course you offer those sizes. But what I'm thinking here is that Etsy has probably gotten feedback from customers being mad that they click into something thinking that it's going to be $30 for all sizes, and that is actually $30 for an extra small, and now they have to pay this extra money for other sizes. So they're probably trying to make sure that the best performing listings are clear and easy for customers to understand, and it's not like a bait and switch type of tactic. Streamline for clarity and scannability. Consider using less than 15 words. This is very different guidance that we've had before, but keep in mind here that Etsy is not saying do not market your products a little bit more broadly. They're just saying make the title a bit more sticky and clear to understand for a customer. Only include holidays, special occasions, or recipient types if they're essential to what the item is. Move subjective words like perfect or beautiful to the description, which is exactly what I just mentioned. Those are still probably very searched terms, and Etsy's just saying, hey, we're going to respect that, but we're going to look at your entire listing. It's not just your title that matters. Try not to repeat words. This is one where obviously we've known this for a while now that it's better to do personalized dog photo and customized portrait. So it's the same type of meaning, but it's different words. So that way you're not repeating words in your title. That will just help make it more understandable and clear for your customers. And then lastly, don't worry about price, shipping, or sales. Etsy is going to take care of this by making sure that they badge everything for a free shipping badge or a sale badge on their end. So it's easier for customers to actually filter by the pricing and the shipping option that they want. Further guidance shows here what you can keep in your title versus exclude from the title. So a couple of things I want to draw attention to here is the aspirational gifting keywords and phrases. As noted, Etsy is a perfect platform for gifting. They are really trying to own the gift market. They are now saying here that you no longer have to include gift for him, birthday present, personalized gift in the title, and to avoid that repetition in the title entirely. What I'm saying here is that does not mean remove it from your title and not make sure it's across other pieces of your listing. These are key terms that you would want to have in your description that make it very, very clear for your buyers that this is an amazing gift for all these different occasions. Some examples of how we can take these like keyword stuff titles and push them over to the new titles are showcased here. On the left, we can see dad t-shirt, father shirt, personalized Father's Day gift, personalized dad t-shirt, dad statement shirt, father shirt with kids' names. It's an exhausting title that probably took up every single word and historically has performed well and probably still will in the short term. However, we can clearly see that as a customer, it's easier to read personalized 100% cotton dad t-shirt, custom kids names, small through extra large. I am on the fence at this point, like many of you, on making this change to my top performing listings. I'll go into the tool that they've launched and how I'm thinking about it for my business. What I will say is that I definitely recommend you do not make these changes unless you are willing to rehaul the rest of your listing, the description, make sure your photos are on par. That way we can make sure that we are really taking a look at the entire listing and not just the title. As you can see here for this one, the word personalized is called out and custom. So they're still using synonyms, but they're just getting rid of all of the fluff of things that might not matter to an actual customer. Obviously, they're going to see that first image. They're going to see the title. And I assume Etsy is using this new system and this new guidance to help better rank on their other shopping listings. Like if they do advertising on Google Shopping or something like that, they want to make sure that these titles are competitive with third-party businesses that are shipping directly to customer as well. So that way you can show up in the same kind of searches and responses as big brands across like Google Shopping. So they have also launched a tool that will give you some guidance on how we can take your listing titles and make them more optimized for this new search model that Etsy has rolled out. I will echo my sentiment here that we're hearing mixed reviews across the Etsy community on if this is beneficial or if it's detrimental. We are hearing that for folks that have launched this and have made these changes, they are noticing more traffic, which is a great thing. However, if you have a listing that is in your shop that is driving a ton of revenue and is performing really, really well, I would probably recommend just holding off on that change for now while we test some of your lower performing listings that might not be driving sales. So there's like a really minimal risk to giving this a whirl on those products, given that there's already not driving a ton of revenue. Etsy is doing their best to make this as easy as possible for you as a seller to optimize your titles. So the first way that they are doing that is they are allowing for this new AI tool that it should be in everybody's account at this point. When this new article came out, it was not in everybody's accounts. People couldn't even use it. It should now be available in your platform. And the way that you're going to check to see if that AI tool exists is to go over to your Etsy search visibility in your shop manager, and you will see a different tile here that says make your titles even clearer to buyers. So this is my Make It Rain account. This is what I build listings in for my YouTube channel. This is not my actual Etsy account. I have my own Etsy shop that I still run to this day, print on demand. I'm at the point where I've done a little bit over $250,000 in revenue for my business. So keep that in mind that I only have 2 listings in here, but in my actual account, I have about 300 listings in my shop at this point, and it spit out about 189 listings for me to review. So out of those 300 that I have in my shop, it only flagged about 189 of them that needed updating. Why it chooses that, I don't know, because obviously my listings are keywords stuffed to the brim, but it did only shoot out some of those. So maybe it's taking into account other reasons why it's only going to highlight maybe my lowest performing listings. There truly were only about, a dozen of my like top performers that are driving, hundreds of dollars per month in revenue each in that selection. So they're probably trying their best to mitigate large swings in traffic for your top performers. But keep that in mind that your amount of listings that are eligible might look different. So when I come into here, it gives you a guide on why this product exists and why this tool exists, and allows you to review your listing. So keep in mind, this is an optional tool that you can deploy, and you don't have to accept any of these changes. But if you did want to take a look at this and see what Etsy is recommending, you will see all of the different titles that Etsy is recommending you take a look at, so you can review them and either edit that title or go ahead and say, go for it, Etsy. So in this instance, you can see the original title I had here for American Traditional Dog Ceramic Mug, Personalized Pet Tattoo Coffee Cup, Animal Lover Gift, Custom Pup Portrait Tea Mug, Unique Puppy. They have changed that title to just Personalized American Traditional Dog Tattoo Mug, Custom Pet Portrait. It is much cleaner. It is much nicer. So I can totally understand why they would have taken my title and spit out this more concise short title. Very similar here for this other customized dog portrait. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit save all to, but you actually have the ability to uncheck these if you do not want them to be executed. And you also have the option to update the title yourself if you wanted to add in a couple of different things or tweak it slightly. So the power is up to you on however you want to use this tool. So keep that in mind for if you would like to use this tool or not. You can also do it in batches. So when I did mine and I reviewed my 180 listings or whatever, they popped up 10 at a time. And so I could approve 10 at a time if I wanted, and I could hit finish later if I wanted to come back and actually pick up where I left off at a later time. I'm going to hit save all to titles and give it a whirl in this test account that I just used for my channel. If you would rather chip away at this on your own, I can totally understand why. As I mentioned, what I would recommend doing is taking a look at maybe the products that you've driven 0 to 1 to 2 sales of in the last 90 days. And any of those products, I would start to take a look at to see, can I test this on a batch of those products? So if you want to do this more offline and just have different listing titles, you're also welcome to download your actual product titles. rework them on your own offline, and then change those titles one by one. So that way you have more of that flexibility. So if you wanted to do it that way, you can obviously come over to your sales portal and hit settings and then options. And then you can come up here to download data. And then you can just download the CSV, so that will export all of the information that you would need for your listings. As you can see here, when that data exports, what I find to be a little bit annoying about this export is that it gives me the title, it gives me the description, and additionally, some additional details about like my tags and my images. So you can go ahead and create a custom column into your export in your Excel file or your Google Docs and start to update those titles and those descriptions. That way it's easy for you to just go in and paste them into your listings. But what I really kind of would like to see with this is more of an export of the listings that have driven the majority of my sales. So I'm not having to like spot check them. So there's not like a super clean way to do this, but one way that you could do this is if you could use Everbee to actually just export the sales that Everbee is showcasing on your products to get a better idea on, hey, these products likely haven't driven sales in the last 90 days. I'm going to edit them on my own. And the way that you would do that using Everbee, which is a Chrome extension that allows you to see into the back end of Etsy, which products are performing well, which shops are getting sales, and gives you visibility into roughly estimated which products are driving different revenue amounts. That way you can track different trends and get a more holistic picture on actual sales volume. What you can do here is you're going to be able to take a look at your own shop on Etsy, and you can download that data. So here I have just a random shop that has done over 285,000 sales. They have about 900 listings in their shop. I want to take a look at the data from the last 3 months, and I'm going to export this data so that way I can take a look at all of the products that have literally driven no sales. So that way I can prioritize starting with those listings in my shop. Obviously, this is more important. If you only have like 20 to 50 listings, you probably have an easier time at just crunching through all this data. But if you'd rather just take a look at, you have all these listings, let's take a look at the ones that have not driven much traffic at all and prioritize those. This is a really good way for you to kind of take a look at that information. You'll be able to see, once again, the product name that is in there, as well as the estimated revenue. Keep this in mind that these are all estimated, and so it's not going to be perfect, but it will be pretty accurate for if you've not driven any sales from that listing, and then you can prioritize and highlight those first. So you could filter out the data where you only have total sales of $0 and then start with those listings, which would be a really great place to start for the last kind of 90-day window to make sure that that is fresh data. The other thing that I would recommend that you do, given this is a brand new search guidance, is start to take a look at the data on platforms like Everbee to see how top shops in your niche are adopting this information. Before you just go full in and make all the changes, like I said, be a little bit cautious and start with the listings that are not performing super well. You've already listed that product. You've paid the 20 cents. You may have a couple more months on it. We might as well try to optimize that listing while you've paid for it to see if we can get traffic on that product, since there is additional guidance. You might be able to have kind of an advantage here if other people are sleeping on this guidance and it truly is valuable for the way folks are shopping. And so I would recommend taking a look at your specific vertical by reviewing some of the products and starting to see in the last month or so which products are rising to the top. Now, keep in mind, this is brand new guidance, so it's likely that we're not going to have a bunch of fresh data, but going into October, I would recommend using Everbee to take a look at which products in the last month had the highest sales. If they remain being these like super keyword stuffed products, then it probably makes sense to keep your top sellers keyword stuffed. But if we're seeing that some of these more, beautiful, crispy, clean titles are working, then it's a good idea for us to adopt that into our shop and our niche as well. And so the way that I'm doing that is taking a look at my niche. This isn't my niche, but for the Make It Rain account it is. I'm taking a look at the custom dog tag and product to just see what's driving the most revenue in the last month. So we can see here in the last month, these are the products that have driven insane amounts of revenue. So we're seeing 63K in the last month, 41K in the last month here. Keep in mind that if we're basing our decision off of this data, every single one of these is keyword stuffed, right? So it's probably not the best idea. Like, these are shops that are not changing their SEO whatsoever. But it's also a good idea to start taking a look at newer products. Keep in mind that all of these products have been alive and listed for almost a year or over a year. If we hone down and we filter to just products that have been launched in the last month, it may be a different story. So let's take a look at that. So if we take a look at the last month, we're seeing obviously lower revenue because these are products that are still picking up steam. But what we're seeing here is that a lot of these still have very long titles. So I'll be very interested to see if we come back in October, if some of these top selling, most top moving products start to take more of that best practice that we're noticing Etsy actually promote and recommend. Hopefully this was helpful. Go ahead and drop a comment below if you've made some changes to your listings and have seen any type of trend one way or the other, and how you're thinking about this new strategy for your shop. I post videos weekly supporting Etsy sellers and print-on-demand sellers, so I will catch you on the next one.